Welcome to the Film Geezers podcast. Hello and welcome to the Film Geezers podcast. We are the dynamic duo, Robbo and Cheeto.
I'm Batman, obviously.
And this is one in a series of bonus episodes that we're going to do. It's probably not going to be every week, but when we think we've got a topic to do it on, then we'll do it. And it's going to be mainly probably film reviews.
I think it's going to be going in depth into one film or a series of films,
Yeah. And so, excuse me. And so today we've chosen The Batman. Now we saw this on opening day, at midnight screening, and then we saw it again later on.
I think it was last Wednesday, I believe.
Because we like to watch a film at least twice before we review it.
Yeah,
and we avoid any recency
bias
as well. Which is basically where you see a film, and if you do a review directly after, you know,
it's the best. It's either the best thing ever, or
it is. We've all,
the worst thing ever.
We've all done it. We've all,
we're all guilty as for it, aren't we?
And your opinion of a film can change, each time you watch it.
Yeah.
So, right, are we going to start?
Yeah. If you want to
go.
So
a bit of background. This was going to be following on from the Justice League, although it's not part of the Batman series. It is a standalone film, or standalone. Hopefully, it's a standalone series, because that's kind of where it was heading. But anyway, this was going to be a vehicle for Ben Affleck. He was going to write it, direct it, and also star in it. But he pulled out a lot. There's some issues. Obviously, he said he didn't really enjoy making the Justice League, which is understandable because obviously, changed the director midway through and everything else. He was also going through a divorce at the time. He had some issues with alcohol. I think he actually checked himself into rehab. And he felt his passion for the project had just gone, and it needed somebody younger who could bring that passion back to it. So then, what were your impressions of the film before you saw it?
Well, this is the thing. I heard a lot of people before saying that they're scared that because we're getting so many, especially Batman films, that like the character is not going to be as interesting, or I know people. What's that thing where there's more of something, you just get bored.
Oh, saturation. Yeah.
And
the thing is about the Batman is, unlike saying a different character, there is a lot of source material that you can draw
exactly
on.
And he's such a dynamic character. Of course I don't feel this. Anything Batman I'm excited for. And even when initially I remember when this film first got announced, there was people already, of course, excited like me, but people already shitting on it as well.
Yeah,
I think the main thing, which we'll get into the individual performances, but it was Robert Patterson was the main thing, the casting of him as Batman. But like I said, we'll get into it that a bit later. But I was just really excited just to get, and more Batman is like, this is the thing with like Batman v Superman. I know it's not the best film, but I just love Batman so much that I'm one of those guys that just will eat up everything Batman, So I was just last 2 years I've just been really, really excited for it.
And like I've said numerous times before, I was never a big superhero fan.
Yeah.
But I loved the Dark Knight trilogy. That really got me hooked, I think.
Yeah.
And Batman as a character. And like you say, I did like Batman v Superman. I liked Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
I was excited to see it, but then you're always apprehensive because you just don't want it to be shit.
Yeah, and that's the way I was really
quite
nervous.
Often, films don't live up to their expectations.
Yeah.
And then the sort of closer we get to it, and they start releasing some of the trailers, and that's.
Oh yeah, the trailer was amazing
as well.
Yeah, this thing, sometimes trailers can be deceiving because they put all the best parts in the film, but this thing with Batman at the moment, he's just so in form. Like, his films have been pumped out, and like they've been of a really either a decent standard to a world-class standard, then just any Batman's good Batman. But when the trailer first released,
Clooney, yeah, I think
modern Batman,
modern Batman. I know. Yeah, I mean,
not the Dark Days.
We've already done a podcast on the Burton Schumacher films.
Yeah,
and I think Warner's did really shoot themselves in the foot with the direction that they chose to take the character in the films.
I think recently, though, like I said, I'm glad they backed down from pressure from fans and gave Zack Snyder the film he wanted to make, and then. To be fair, maybe 10 years ago, if you told me they would give a film like this, a Batman film like this to us, I would not have believed it. But hopefully now, because I know they had a whole executive rehaul, really, didn't they?
Yeah.
New executives came in, so hopefully this is. And like I said, they've had a really good. They've been on form with their movies, so hopefully this is a new beginning.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, certainly hope so.
So, your thought that's obviously the thoughts before seeing the film.
Yeah.
Now, your thoughts on when Matt Reeves was revealed as the director.
Be honest, I mean, Matt Reeves, right? You look at his filmography, and he did a bit in TV. He then did Cloverfield, which I vaguely remember seeing.
Yeah.
Let Me In, but he's probably more famous for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes. But although I've seen those films, it's not a name that automatically, it's not a big name, is it? I mean, they're good films, they're big films, but it's not somebody that I was familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, I always knew Matt Reeves because he started off as a writer, and I think he wrote one of the Under Siege films, I believe. I think it was Under Siege 2. He started out in the 90s as a writer.
Yeah, Dark Territory, The Pallbearer, The Yards, Let Me In. He wrote as well as directing it.
So he was a writer.
So he's got a.
But he was already ever since though, because I'm a huge fan of the new trilogy of Apes films, and the two he directed are considered the best ones, and they are. And I just think when he first got announced as it, because Warner Brothers had him in ever since Ben Affleck stepped down from the project. Warner were like, okay, it's Matt Reeves, and me personally, you can't think of a better person than Matt Reeves to take on this type of project.
It's Planet of the Apes, Warner. Oh, it's actually Fox. So he's got no history with the studio.
No, I think they just. This is the thing. I think they, like I said, they had him sort of as their progressor because of those two movies. Because one, they're very dark movies.
Yeah.
They have very like the same tonal similarities to the Batman.
Yeah. Well, actually, Cloverfield was actually.
So what he's worked with him.
Yeah.
He's worked with him before.
Yeah.
But no, like I said, I'm not just saying. I know it's easy to say it because it's a really good movie, but you couldn't have picked anyone better, in my opinion. I like the way how he tells the story.
Oh, sorry, I've got that completely wrong. It's Paramount Pictures.
Okay. No, but like I was saying, I like the way how he tells the story. I like the way how he just shoots the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way how he, like I said, he writes his own movies as well.
Yeah.
So
he actually co-wrote it with a guy called Peter Craig.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how it works, whether they actually collaborated together or, Peter Craig did an initial, draft and he did some rework on it. But Peter Craig's, he wrote The Town, which was actually directed by Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
So that would suggest that Ben Affleck would have written Batman with
to be
Peter
fair,
Craig as well.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he might have written the original screenplay, and obviously Matt Reeves has come on board and decided to rewrite it.
Yeah. Hunger Games, Mockingjay, Bad Boys for Life, Batman, Top Gun Maverick. He wrote the story for that, and he's been announced as the writer for Gladiator 2.
It's going to be like 40 years since we get that. It's going to be long gone.
So he's got a decent pedigree, and
you can really tell it, can't you?
Yeah.
Because I think, like So we'll get onto it a bit more in detail, but yeah, the film pays very close attention, and it pays respect to Batman as a character. So
because I think that's the issue fans have, is when you've got somebody who comes in who doesn't understand the character, doesn't understand the history, and basically does their own film.
Yeah. Well, look at Ryan Johnson for Last Jedi. That's probably the best example. But Matt Reeves, he's been a Batman fanatic his whole life. He bought all the comic books, and he loves all the films. So that's what happens when you get someone who cares about the project they're doing. So right on to the probably the biggest one is Robert Patterson as Batman.
Well, if we look at the cast, obviously Robert Patterson as Batman, Zoe Kravitz as Selena. Are we going to go through this later?
Yeah, we're going to go through each one. So
all right, okay. So Robert Pattinson, right? I know I've only really seen him in one other film, and that was The Lighthouse.
Yeah,
but obviously he's more well known for like the Twilight films,
and it sort of followed him around.
Yeah, and so if you were to ask me to list, create a list of actors who I think would be good for Batman, he wouldn't be anywhere near it.
No.
He just wouldn't be on my radar at all.
And was that when he first got obviously announced? Was that how you were feeling as well?
Yeah, I just thought, is he able to pull it off? Because obviously he's the key, character.
Yeah.
And if he didn't work as Batman, then the whole film wouldn't work.
Well, I'm going to admit, right, I was a bit. I felt neutral towards the fact that he was Batman, but when it first got announced, obviously, like you, I've seen all the Twilight movies, and I know he's done good movies after that, but I must admit I've not seen them. But I knew that he was like a respected actor now and stuff, but I it was more the fact that I trusted Matt Reeves. If Matt Reeves wanted him, if it's something he cares so much about, then hey, I was easily going to go with it, So I didn't really hold any negativity towards him, and I'm the type of person to be, or even though maybe leave it for after the film once you've seen it, So
because obviously he's got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So I think we both agree that we feel Christian Bale is the best Batman, and then it's whether it's Ben Affleck or Robert Pattinson.
And this is the thing as well. He even coming into this, he had all, like you said, the odds were against him, because once you've already had, Christian Bale is. It's always, in some people, it's always going to be Michael Keaton is always going to be him. But then when you get a portrayal like Bale, which is so revolutionary, you're always going to be living up to that, And then you get Ben Affleck's portrayal as well, who is darker and more brooding. And this is what this film was looking like. Then he had to fill those shoes as well. So it was big shoes to fill, wasn't it?
Because there was a debate on Twitter by the Geeky Dad podcast.
Oh yeah.
So shout out to them. And I said it was Bale, and they asked me to record my reasons why and submit it. So that is actually in their latest podcast.
Oh yeah.
On the Who's the Best Batman?
Little plug there.
So so shout out to them.
And this is the thing. So we've talked about surrounding how he, is when he first got cast. Did your thoughts change when the trailer came out?
I can't, because it's hard to judge, isn't it, a film by its trailer?
Yeah.
Because was there any part of the film, the trailer, where he was actually speaking?
Yeah, you had the "I'm vengeance" that bit, and I think that was.
I must not have seen that trailer, but
you didn't. I'm guessing it didn't really change,
because
did it?
it's difficult, isn't it? Because you got to judge him as Batman, but also judge him as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. And
can he bring that sort of duality to that character as well? So, I was a little bit, I don't know, apprehensive, I guess.
Yeah.
But
when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, I can understand why Matt Reeves cast him as Batman. But obviously, that's not me saying, "Oh, he's going to put in a brilliant performance." I was just, okay, Matt. Now you're telling us why you did this, and it just got me even more excited for the film.
Yeah.
Now going actually onto his performance, it's Batman 2 years into his career. You can tell he's still trying to iron out those flaws that he has, isn't it? And he's in this, he's very, very troubled, isn't he?
What we got to understand is that this film is different, completely different to The Dark Knight and to Affleck's Batman.
Yeah. This is the thing. When the Dark Knight trilogy came around, we were like, "Oh my god, this is the most grounded Batman movies ever." This is even more grounded. If you're expecting
it to be a Christopher Nolan, Batman or a Ben Affleck Batman, then it's not. No. It's completely different.
It's a 3-hour neo-noir.
It is. His performance is really good.
Oh yeah,
because I think he captures, not just the sort of the pain that Batman or Bruce Wayne, but the duality of the character as well. And he has been described as being an emo Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
it's kind of, because he's kind of a bit moody. He's a recluse. He doesn't go out. Doesn't really interact with anybody. He spends he's not even interested. It's like Bale. You saw a bit of the Playboy Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
but here he's got no interest in Wayne Industries.
I mean, the only time he makes public appearances, obviously, at the mayor's funeral, isn't it?
Yeah. So
and in this with Rob Patterson, I felt like when you play Batman, you've got to find a balance between Bruce and Batman. But I think in it, I think everyone will agree that when Bruce puts on the suit, Batman is him. That's his personality, and he.
Well, again, he's a very understated, even as Batman. He's.
Oh yeah, he's not like a. It's the thing. People have been. I know there was a review saying that he barely smiled or what.
Yeah, that's Batman.
What Batman's smiling? You know what I mean?
He's the Dark Knight. That's that's his persona.
And I love, like, I don't know, just the way he carries himself. Like you can really, really tell this guy is troubled, that his parents have been killed, and it just comes across like that brilliantly. So I love the fact as well that even going to the suit looks amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah, his suit is different, isn't it?
Yeah,
because
I call it rustic, I think.
Yeah, because like you say, he's 2 years into his project, which he calls it, because he keeps a diary, doesn't he, of it. But it's something. It looks like it's something that he's put together himself.
Yeah, there's no Lucius Fox giving military equipment, is there?
Exactly. Yeah, no, he's got all this money, but obviously he's trying to do it in secret as well. It's really, because I think the cowl is actually made out of leather, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's the best looking cowl there's been.
And he can actually turn his head as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, the suit's brilliant.
I love the actual emblem.
Yeah.
It's actually got practicality there.
Yeah. Because he's got a bat on his chest, which he can. It's metal embedded in it, but then he can take it out, use it as like a utility.
It's like a multi-purpose tool thing, isn't it?
Multi-purpose tool.
On some close-ups on the actual emblem on the chest, you can see that it's like really poorly welded together metal, and that just goes to show, that just is how grounded this movie is, and
it's obviously bulletproof because he does get shot quite a bit, actually by a machine gun and a shotgun as well at one point in the film. But again, that it also shows Batman getting hurt as well.
Yeah, it shows that he's not, because
he's not invulnerable.
He's not Superman. No. Who it shows that he is a human, isn't it?
And there's a scene where he's walking down the corridor and putting his t-shirt on. You can see all the scars and all the bruises and everything.
And that just adds that extra layer to him, isn't it?
That is a real person, and it's grounded in reality.
It's the thing. Obviously, hopefully, there's going to be a sequel. I think it's going to be a trilogy in its own. But even though he's got so many layers in this movie, there's still that untapped potential there, isn't there? Because even though he presents himself in a way that you can tell the type of person he is, there's still so much underneath. that can just be potentially explored, which I'm really excited. But I think the takeaway we have really from this is that it is, like I said, it's hard because Christian Bale, for me personally, will always be the best Batman, like how Michael Keaton will always be.
Like I said on when I recorded my reasons, it's because I think we got to see his backstory, and I think he gave a really, really good subtle performance. And some of the best scenes weren't necessarily Batman; they were Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
and his, the way that he was able to portray that. But yeah, I've Patterson is up there, I think.
And then, like I said, if we've seen Bale's full trilogy, what's not to say that he will be the best?
I mean, they briefly explored sort of his backstory. But we all know that his parents were killed.
And like I said, it going back to initial reaction, like Rob Patterson, even though we'd never think that he'd be anywhere near the list, he's the perfect. He's a really good actor. He's tall. He's got a decent bit of muscle, and he has that acting ability to be able to play the character of Bruce Wayne and Batman. So
maybe I should be Batman.
Another 30 years. So yeah, like I said, I think we're both in agreement that he's certainly a top tier Batman, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right, now moving on to Zoe Kravitz, who plays Catwoman. Yeah.
So she's kind of again having to pick up the role played by Michelle Pfeiffer and Halle Berry.
Also Anne Hathaway as well.
Anne Hathaway, yeah. So I think she does a really good job.
I think she does.
She's and again her suit's not because she wears a balaclava, doesn't she? It's not a proper.
Well, Matt Reeves, actually, this is how much detail I thought he put into it. Where she's like a barmaid, where she's not earning much money, she can't afford a full-on, leather cowl, like you see maybe Anne Hathaway or whatnot, or Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah. So it makes sense that she's got a balaclava.
Yeah, but I think she brings the right sort of mix of danger and sexuality to the film.
Because this thing, I think that Catwoman, there's a kind of like a model with every character. There's a model that you should fit into to play Catwoman, especially, isn't there? And I think but she also brings her own take on it as well.
Because whereas in some other films, Catwoman was the antagonist of Batman. In this one, there is some antagonism initially, but then they actually work together. Yeah.
And she almost becomes a bit of a love interest as well.
There's the love interest there. She leaves town and she wants him to go with her, but
he just can't.
Yeah, she says, you've already married to Gotham.
Yeah,
that's essentially what she was saying. So yeah, there is that there. So I guess they've left it open for her to come back.
Yeah, which is nice. Normally you don't see recurring characters that much, so that'd be nice to see her back. But yeah, like I said, to fit such this thing with other characters in Batman, Batman is the big, he's the big presence there, and you've got to kind of counteract that and balance with your own good performance. And she puts in a really good performance. Like I said, it's not Michelle Pfeiffer levels. Like I said, that would probably always be her role, but for this film, she's perfect, I think. And yeah, I'll be excited to see her back. Really, I mean, I know there's a bit of like a backstory, about how she's Falcone's daughter. Yeah. And there's a bit of backstory about her mother and whatnot, which is just adds that extra layer, doesn't it? So
and it does. It kind of informs a lot of her actions in the film as well. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Right, I think so. We're gonna go down. So
all right, so we've got Jeffrey Wright as Lieutenant James Gordon. Lieutenant at this point. So it's never actually fully explored how him and Batman actually got together. It starts off with them. We've already got the bat signal, so they've obviously worked together. Established some relationship. And although the rest of the police force are reluctant to have anything to do with him. Yeah, they see him as this freak vigilante. Gordon obviously finds his assistance valuable. Yeah, as well.
what's interesting as well though is they're working together and stuff, but there's still a couple scenes where that trust is still a bit tested, because there's a scene where they go look at the mayor's cars.
Yeah.
He's like they're questioning the trust of each other.
Yeah.
So there's still that boundary in between them, because there's still a very new partnership probably.
Yeah. And Jeffrey Wright, I've seen him in the Westworld TV series. He was in Hunger Games as well, wasn't he? So he's a good actor.
He's a really good actor, yeah.
Obviously, he's having to sort of fill the shoes of Gary Oldman, really. I mean, in the original Batman films, in the Burton ones, he wasn't really featured a lot.
No.
And in the Justice League, he was briefly featured.
Yeah.
Didn't have really that much of a large role in those. So I think he does a really good job. He does. He's a likeable character. He's a believable character, I think, as well.
And I think when with James Gordon, there's certain things that you got to play by, and being the good cop, being the one that obviously trusts Batman. He puts in a really good performance. Like I said, I know once again we'll always be harping back and comparing it to the Dark Knight or whatnot, but I think
it's obviously it's going to get that comparison.
Yeah, it is.
So this next one, right, surprised me probably as much as Robert Pattinson.
And this is the one that everyone's talking about.
And that's Colin Farrell as Oz.
I'll tell you what, I'm sorry,
the Penguin,
but he's fucking amazing. He's brilliant. He's really good.
Yeah, wearing a lot of makeup. Obviously, he's unrecognisable. And like I was saying to you, his makeup makes him look a bit like De Niro in The Untouchables as Al Capone, and I think that's maybe the character they're going for, like an Al Capone style character. But if you didn't know it was Colin Farrell, you wouldn't have a clue who it was, because his performance is brilliant. He's also he brings a little bit of. He's not like the traditional Penguin,
no,
from the comic books. He's a little bit light relief as well. There's a few comedic moments in there, and it's never really because he's supposed to be Falcone's enforcer.
Yeah,
but you don't really see him do much of that.
No, not really.
Yeah.
So that's because what I'm hoping is that, because the film sets it up like it's him who's the rat. Yeah. So now I'm hoping with Falcone gone, we can really see the Penguin's story.
Because he actually helps Batman in some ways as well. So
I wouldn't really call him a bad guy, would he?
No,
and I mean,
he's not a traditional what you would say. Yeah,
I mean, compare him to even though we both love him, compare this to Danny DeVito's Penguin.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
yeah. So hopefully, if we do get a sequel, then he'll be in it, and we'll be able to sort of explore.
Well, just recently, he's getting his own.
Oh no, I
TV
saw that.
show,
He's getting his own spin-off
HBO Max.
Yeah, his own spin-off TV show,
which obviously goes to show that it's acclaimed now. Yeah, critically acclaimed. Like I said, one of the best parts of this is one where I was like, okay, I've never. It's not that I've not liked Colin Farrell, but I don't really care for him. But this is like, it really does go to show that you just need that perfect role, and this is the perfect role for him. And I can get where you see that Capone sort of side to it, because he is like a proper gangster in this, isn't he?
Yeah. Okay, next one is Paul Dano as the Riddler, which I think he's brilliant in this.
I think he is as well.
Another film I've seen him in is Prisoners.
Yeah,
and he just brings that kind of creepiness. You can actually believe that he is the Riddler. Yeah, it really is. And there is, there's a little bit of, I don't know if there's duality to the character either, because even as himself, he's still that sort of character, isn't he?
Yeah.
Costume is pretty good.
Brilliant, yeah.
I mean, it's gone. It's like the Jim Carrey.
It's totally removed, isn't it?
Stuff and everything. And it's basically put together from like army surplus stores. So you've got like a combat coat. You've got I think it's a winter combat mask. And he really does inherit that character. And he, like I say, you do believe that he is insane.
I mean, when I first saw the cast release, this is the one where I really punched the air because I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like we said, Prisoners he was brilliant in, and this is a role perfect for him, especially the portrayal of the Riddler in this. Like you said, going on the Jim Carrey, because he was almost like a comedic character, wasn't he? With this, he's not at all. And
it's there's a scene with him and Batman in Arkham Prison, which is brilliant as well. I think
you just see the acting ability he possesses.
Because initially Riddler, he thinks that him and Batman are working together, that they're the same, that that they want the same kind of thing. And then when he realises, when they have a meeting, when he actually asks to meet Batman in Arkham, and Batman says, "You're just insane," and when he realises that they're not, that he's not sympathetic to him, then he
freaks out.
Freaks out, and it's just a brilliant scene.
And I think as well, I love this portrayal of the Riddler where, because this is the thing with Riddler, he's not a Bane where he's physically imposing.
No, that's what he said. Because all throughout the whole film, he's leaving clues. Do you want to go? Are we going to cover the plot later?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, he's leaving clues for Batman, and they're addressed to Batman. And because like he says when he meets him, he says, I'm not strong like you. My strength is up here, pointing to his head. Like he said. So he's trying to get Batman to do the physical stuff, and that's why he kind of deludes himself that they're actually working together.
Yeah. But like I said, this is when I first saw it, I was like, oh yes, we've got Paul Dano as a Riddler. Brilliant performance.
Okay. Next one, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. I think this is probably the weakest casting because Turturro's probably most well known for comedy roles, and even in like Transformers, his was like the comedic kind of buffoon role, and I think casting him as a sort of crime boss maybe a little bit miscast.
This is the thing. I think with his performance, don't get me wrong, it's a really good performance still.
No,
really good performance, but there is that sort of.
I don't think he just has the menace that you need.
I just don't see him as a believable mafia leader or something, gangster. No. And this is the thing as well. Falcone, there's no. I know he's not the biggest villain, of course, but there's no no matter who you bring in, his part is quite minuscule, isn't it? You know, so you need someone who's going to take this by the bollocks and actually with the small part he's got, and he doesn't. He's okay, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's all right.
Okay.
I don't think it takes away from the film, but
a lot of reviews I've read, they say he's kind of the weak link there.
We'll see Thingy in Batman Begins.
Yeah, Tom Wilkins.
Yeah. That's someone who took that fully seriously, took it by the bollocks, and But like I said, he doesn't take anything away from the film, really, does he at all?
Yeah. No. And then finally we've got Andy Serkis as Alfred. So obviously he's a Matt Reeves collaborator, did all the motion capture for Caesar in Planet of the Apes. Again, big shoes to fill, Master Wayne. Michael Gough, British character actor in all four of the Burton Schumacher films. Obviously Michael Caine, and then Jeremy Irons, and then yet another
star actor from here. Once again, I say Paul Dano. I was really happy with this.
Yeah,
I think it was perfect. You need those type of big actors with that acting capability to play Alfred, and I think he hit the nail on the head with this. I
don't know. I kind of anticipated somebody a bit older, maybe, coming off the back of obviously the other previous. They're all different, aren't they?
And it's younger Batman as well, isn't it?
I guess it's younger, but
I can look past it.
I guess so, yeah.
But what I like with this,
I didn't think about
what I like with this Alfred as well, though, is like Michael Caine's, Alfred is helping Bruce as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's not like no offense to the 90s movies, but Michael Gough, he kind of just does like the butler, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You don't actually see what he does most of the time, and Alfred, he's there like deciphering stuff. Like I said, we'll get into it later a bit more, but he's like deciphering stuff. So he's not just the butler.
It is different to Michael Caine, and to Jeremy Irons as well. So even though
as well that they seem to be wrong with this, that he even says that he was in the service. So they're sticking with that backstory. Well, I mean, Jeremy Irons was more of a sort of a battle. He was
type of Alfred. Didn't wear butler clothes, did he? He wore more combat stuff. So I think they're sticking with that backstory that he was.
I'm here
at some point in the.
And Matt Reeves, don't scare me again by acting like you're going to kill Alfred. You can't go.
All right.
I think if we're getting to Gotham next.
Yeah, Gotham.
Now this is the one good thing about. I think one of the big things about the Tim Burton Batman films is that Gotham was like a character in its own. You know, it was very obviously it was very gothic, and it felt like a lived-in city.
Yeah,
obviously not in the real world, in some other removed world. Whereas you look at, like, that's the only thing that the Dark Knight trilogy fails to live up on, really, is because I understand obviously Nolan wanted a more grounded approach, but with his Gotham, it can be just any city. It's not got its own, like I said, it's not its own character, and I think Gotham alone should be its own character as well, where this one, this Gotham's really good, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually looking at the filming location. It's actually mainly filmed in England.
It was Liverpool, wasn't it?
Some scenes in Glasgow, London, and at Leavesden Studios in Hertfordshire.
You can tell a lot of it was set work, can't you?
But I mean, I think a lot of even in Gotham is just a character in itself, isn't it? I think, and it's got that kind of real lived in. Because I felt like in the Burton Schumacher films that it was it looked like a set. It was like a sanitized city, whereas obviously in Dark Knight and this film, it particularly in this film, it looks lived in, it looks real.
But like as well though is that there's still some elements that change it. Like you look at the Dark Knight trilogies one, like I said, that could be just any random city, where this Gotham in this film has its own sort of flavour, which I really like. So it still feels like that bit huge lived-in city like the Dark Knight, but it takes those sort of characteristics from the Tim Burton films and just mixes it up. And I mean, it's really good Gotham, isn't it? So
it is.
Right, the Batmobile.
This, I believe, is a custom built, but it's based on a Dodge Charger, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was as well,
Unlike other films, it's not a custom-made, car. Hasn't got, the Lucius Fox tumbler, which I know is your favourite Batmobile, isn't it? So it looks real. It's grounded in reality. It looks like something somebody's built themselves, as well. Brilliant. It's I think it's a V8 supercharged engine.
I'll tell you what. The introduction to it as well. Oh my god.
Because basically, I think Gordon and Batman they follow the Penguin to a drug deal, and a firefight breaks out, and Batman just disappears, and the next thing you see, you just hear this and then this car just comes out, and
so good.
it is sexy, isn't it?
It is oh my god, there was so much nutting in that cinema, you know what I mean?
And then there's a car chase as well,
brilliant car chase,
Penguin and Batman, and
once again, with Gotham, the Batmobile should have is a character in its own right as well. It should stand out, And I just think that introduction alone, just deserves to put it up to the upper echelons, of Batmobiles. But
it's a lot of the time during the film he rides a motorbike as well.
Yeah, he does, which is quite cool.
Yeah, and I know he did. I think in the comic books, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
But so that's pretty
And I
cool.
also appreciate as well that a lot of the stunt work with the Batmobile was real, it wasn't CGI.
Practical effects, which is
always a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah. So that gets the thumbs up from me. The
100%.
Batmobile.
Right, moving on to the story now.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to give a brief
go
rundown?
ahead.
Okay, so like Cheeto was saying, this is kind of 2 years into Batman's sort of he calls it Project Gotham, doesn't he? His attempt to sort of clean up the streets. So the film opens with the murder of the mayor in his mansion, and we get to see the Riddler for the first time. Then, and then one of the first scenes where Batman's introduced is the voiceover, isn't it? So, like you say, it's very film noir. Reminds me of Blade Runner, the starting of it, with the voiceover. And he's talking about his project, and he's talking about how Batman is a symbol of fear, and he should fight. He can't be everywhere, but just a thought of him maybe just being in the shadows somewhere, because he says, "I am the shadows," doesn't he? Strikes fear into criminals, and so it's Halloween night. There's criminals doing stuff, and the bat signal goes on, and you can just see a change in them, can't you?
Yeah, the change of demeanour.
And
that's one thing I think we forgot to talk about Batman. Is this Batman looks? He doesn't just look intimidating or scary. You can see that through the reactions of the people of Gotham. Yeah.
So these various criminals stop their activity and disappear. It cuts to a train. There's a gang on this train, and it's obviously
we're going to go through this.
Are we?
Yeah, we're going to do the.
All right, okay. So that's the scene where we introduce Batman. Well, essentially the plot is that Thomas Wayne set up this renewal fund, billions of dollars, to help basically improve Gotham. When he died, the renewal fund was unsupervised. There was a grab for it. The criminal elements, because it's like I say, it's not audited. So there was a conspiracy between the mayor, the DA, chief of police, Falcone, to basically take over the renewal fund, use the money for bribes for criminal activities. The mayor gets killed, the chief of police gets killed, the DA gets killed, and then it's revealed that the Riddler is killing all the people involved with this renewal scam. He also reveals that there's a high-level rat, that gave up information that allowed Gotham Police to shut down the drug, being run by Maroni. And then it's revealed right at the end that it was actually Falcone was the rat, and he ratted out on so he could take over Maroni's businesses. And so it's really, as you see, like you said earlier, you see a lot of the detective work that you see in the comic books, but not really in the films. There is lots of action. Don't get me wrong, but then you see, like with the ciphers that the Riddler's leaving, because at each murder he leaves a card for Batman, and the card contains ciphers and clues to his identity, and it's left for him to put it all together.
You can actually see Batman working with the police, can't you?
But then what's revealed right at the end is it's part of a bigger plot by the Riddler, that he's going to blow up Gotham's sea defences, flood the city. He's going to get all the high-ranking people into one area, because when the city floods, they move everybody to the Gotham Square Gardens, which is a high point. So you've got the mayor and other high-ranking officials, and he's assembled a group of kind of extremists, all dressed as the Riddler. They come equipped with rifles and shotguns, and they're basically gonna shoot everybody in the garden.
Because I think his motive was that no one cared, because obviously he was an orphan.
He was an orphan as well. He grew up in actually an orphanage that was on Wayne. I think it was on the Wayne estate, wasn't it?
No one cared. Everyone cared about Bruce. That's why he had that.
This is a scene when he's in Arkham prison, and Bruce Wayne thinks that he knows who he is, that his true identity, and he keeps going on about Bruce Wayne, and then he's saying, all people cared about was Bruce Wayne. He lost his parents, he's an orphan. Nobody cared about me.
And I think he as well. The main thing is that he hated all the political figures.
Well, it's revealed that Thomas Wayne, his wife was in a mental institution, and there was a journalist that was going to sort of dig the dirt and publish this, and Thomas Wayne attempted to pay him off, and then he actually went to Falcone for help, and Falcone was just supposed to kind of scare him, but he didn't. He ended up killing him, and that is and that's kind of what the Riddler reveals as well about sort of the Wayne legacy, which obviously Bruce didn't know about, but then that adds to his kind of
well, it can only add to his character, can't it?
As well. So in the end, he's Batman basically saves the day, and then because obviously throughout the whole film, everybody, the police and the mayor and everything, they're very skeptical about him. They see him as this kind of master vigilante, but in the end, they actually accept him as Batman.
Yeah,
as a guardian, I guess, of Gotham.
We're going to get into, like I said, the opening scenes and the ending scenes. But yeah, just on the story, just it's a brilliant story that you've just never seen in a Batman movie before.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's called the world's greatest detective. You've never really seen that side to him, believe it or not. You see a bit of it in The Dark Knight, but yeah, it's just totally different environment for Batman to be in. A totally different, it's a totally different Batman doing something he's never done before.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a really good script, really good story. It's not like we said, it's not like we've seen before.
You can definitely understand like the David Fincher sort of Seven and those type of movies, sort of, because it's like that sort of same tone, same with the Zodiac as well. So if you're into that, then you're going to love it.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed that there's a few people got up and left the cinema.
They're the type of people to think that it's going to be like a bullshit, bloated blockbuster action film and stuff.
Well, there's a lot of people say it's too dark. There's not enough action in it, but I just love it. I love this film because it was just so different, I think.
Yeah.
And we don't want more of the same, do you? That's the thing. You always want something. You always want films to surprise you, and this did.
And if anything, it's the most truest we've ever seen the Batman in.
Yeah, it is.
So, leading on from that, if we look into the opening scenes of this movie, of course, it first starts off with some like the POV of looking with binoculars into the mayor's would you call it mansion or whatnot, and that's when you first start to see.
And it's a brilliant scene because like there's a shot of the mayor, and then he sort of steps to one side, and then you see the Riddler and the shadows in the background, and it really is.
Well, this thing, I think the reason why this intro scene is so good is because if I just say what it is, he once the Riddler's revealed, he goes on to kill the mayor.
Yeah.
But the reason why this is so good, because we've gone over it in our best intro scene already, but what you want in an intro scene is you want to sort of know what the film is going to be like straight from the off, so you can okay, this is where this film's going. Shocked me because it's quite a violent scene, isn't it? You just don't see in Batman. This the mayor's been knocked out, he's been clubbed to death with this carpet movie, and it's just that type of this thing in the comics. You see it a lot. Batman's a very dark character, but you've just never seen that type of images in a Batman movie before, have you?
And then it cuts to the voiceover, and it's panning sort of around different shots of Gotham. I say it's Halloween.
We get there's something in the way she moves. It's brilliant, isn't it?
There's some obviously criminal activity. There's a guy holding up a store. There's people graffitiing, and then the bat signal comes on, and there's a police helicopter put the light on them, and they there's shots of them looking at the shadows and anticipating Batman.
While this is happening, though, obviously he does his little monologue where he's like,
it's in the voiceover.
But he says that, like you said earlier, he says that he's
can't be everywhere.
Yeah,
but he's the shadows.
He said, I'm not in the shadows.
Yeah,
I am the shadows.
Yeah,
and then that's obviously you get the train scene, don't you?
Yeah, and then it cuts to because the criminals like looking at the shadows, and then they kind of disappear. And then there's a scene on a train. It's the interior of a train. There's a gang of guys wearing makeup, and there's one lad just with half his face made up, and you realise that it's an initiation for him. And this gang, what they do is they go around basically punching people and filming it, or attacking people and filming it. And they target this guy, Asian guy, gets up to get off the train, and that's who they target for this obviously initiation. He sees them following him, and he runs like fuck, doesn't he? Because he knows what's coming. Essentially, they get him, pin him up against a barrier. They're urging this young lad to punch him, and then you just hear these footsteps, and it seems to go on for a long time.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
dark. It's obviously a dark alleyway, isn't it?
Yeah, and then just Batman emerges from the shadows, and it is such a brilliant scene.
Well, it's odd because the first reaction, you can tell that these guys are not scared because the first reaction is to laugh at him.
Yeah, and then I think some guy then smiles and comes at him with a machete, and they think
and just gets
about 9 of them.
He just gets fucked up, and
then
he
just and then they sort of all run off, and then he sort of goes over and he stood looking at this Asian guy, and this Asian guy is like, "Don't hurt me."
Yeah.
So you understand that he's not yet won the trust of people. They still think that he's just as bad as those other guys. And it's obviously the scene in it where it's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm vengeance."
I'm vengeance, yeah. So, which is just, but once again with this intro though as well, is that we instantly what type of Batman is going to be in this film. Just the brutality of him.
You say, he's still kind of learning, isn't he?
Yeah,
as well. But yeah, he's very brutal when he's beating up people. But throughout the whole film, he never shoots anyone.
No,
he's still has that rule of no guns.
But yeah, I just mean that. I mean, even the actual the way Matt Reeves shot his fight scenes, it's not Nolan where it's very fast takes and you just see full on like seconds of still cameras, just him beating the shit out of people, and you just get to see like I said, the brutality of him. I mean, there's a scene where the geezer lunges at him, and Bruce grabs his arm and he snaps his arm in half, and it's just like, okay, this is where this is going.
Also reveals some little gadgets he's got on his bat suit as well.
Yeah, it does.
Which is good,
really cool. But yeah, probably I think the best intro to Batman we've ever seen.
Yeah, I
easily
agree with that. Yeah, I think so.
Even talking about it an hour just makes you like, fuck, But yeah, because I think as well is this is the Batman like I was hoping to go see in this film, and just to see that, it was just I think we fangirled a bit in the cinema.
Well, I mean, even seeing it again for the second time, you still get the same buzz, and I think I was still buzzing about it.
I'm pretty sure the next morning I had a wet dream just of I'm vengeance. So yeah, lead on from the opening scene, the ending scene now.
Yeah, because that's where they're in. Like I say, they're in Gotham Square Gardens. Batman's defeated sort of Riddlers. Like you say, they were extremists, weren't they? Sort of terrorists. Because there's a scene actually where Batman, basically, he's been shot by a shotgun, hasn't he? And he's struggling, and I think he injects himself probably with some adrenaline or something, and he goes literally batshit, and he beats this guy to a pulp. And Gordon takes his mask off, and does he say to him, "Who are you?" And
he says, "I'm vengeance."
I'm vengeance. So it's kind of come sort of full circle in a way, and he's obviously Batman's shocked by that because he realizes that he's inspired the Riddler, who's inspired these people to do that.
I think it's really good character building, and plus it shows as well like he probably would have killed that guy if Gordon wasn't there, and it shows that he's only, like I said, new to the whole thing.
Well, the ending basically is the water's coming in, the mayor's been trapped, and other people have been trapped under this sort of debris and scaffolding and stuff. And Batman, there's a scene where there's like a transformer, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which is going to electrocute people. So he leaps onto this wire from this transformer, takes out his tool from his chest, and cuts it. So he actually falls into the water, and that's a brilliant scene as well. It's
brilliant because also I think it shows that he's willing to put his life on the line for the people.
And he comes out of the water, he lights this red flare, goes over, he removes the debris, he helps them, he reaches out his hand to the mayor, and she's reluctant at first.
It's the mayor's son.
It's actually the ex-mayor's son was there as well. And he grabs his hand and he helps him, and then the mayor then grabs his hand, and that is the point in which he's accepted.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's brilliant because then there's an overhead shot, and it's a beautiful shot, and it's a brilliant shot where Batman has got this flare and he's leading these people through this water, and the people following behind briefly form the shape of a bat.
Yeah.
And I think that's
just brilliant, isn't it?
Just little Easter eggs like that,
And obviously, you get another little monologue from him.
Yeah.
And you see the after the clean up. He's carrying a girl.
What they do is they bring in the National Guard to help out. Like you say, he's carrying this little girl to a stretcher to be airlifted, and she doesn't want to let go of him, and he just kind of reassures her.
Yeah. And that's when you're like, okay, this is the start of the Batman we see, and this is the start of him being that beacon of hope,
Yeah,
for
that's
Gotham.
what he wants to be. Yeah.
And then obviously it goes on to the whole. We get back to the Riddler.
Yeah.
And he's obviously distraught that his plan hasn't worked out.
Yeah.
And then you just hear this voice, and you're like, who the hell is that? And he's talking about, you'll always have a second shot, we can be friends. Yeah. And you see glimpses of this guy in the cell next to him.
He's actually credited as unseen Arkham prisoner.
Okay, and it's played by Barry Keoghan, isn't it?
Yeah, Barry Keoghan.
So the uncredited, unseen prisoner.
Arkham prisoner. Yeah, so there's been a huge debate about who is it?
Is it Joker? Is it
because everything kind of leads you to be the Joker, but it could be Two-Face.
Well, he mentions a clown.
Yeah,
and he laughs. It's a classic Joker laugh, but you see a bit of his face.
Yeah.
And his face looks really like it's just screwed up, doesn't it? So I don't know who it could be. But
obviously in the Batman Forever and in the comic books, the Riddler and Two-Face kind of are together. So it's kind of left it's obviously left it set up for a sequel. Which I think hopefully we'll get to see.
I'm really excited to tell you.
We'll get to see more of Batman, but like Batman as the saviour of Gotham, not this masked vigilante again.
And then it goes, obviously, it finishes that, and it goes to the scene where Selina is at her mother's mausoleum, and grave, if everyone doesn't know.
Okay.
And she's like trying to get Bruce to come with her, and you can just
she said we can get up to all sorts of adventures, the cat and the bat, or the bat and the cat.
It has a good ring to it.
Yeah,
you could tell that he's obviously not going to go, and she's like, you've already made your decision up. So
she sort of says, I'm paraphrasing here, but like, you're already taken, meaning Gotham, essentially.
Like the bond between them is too much, and then you just get the scene where they basically part ways, saying that they can hopefully see each other, but soon, and then you get this just like,
it's Nirvana, isn't it?
Yeah,
something
in a way, It's beautiful. But then you get them riding out of the, I don't know if it's a
cemetery, isn't it?
Cemetery or something, and they go their separate ways, and then it just ends with something. Something away. It's called. It's playing, and it's just a really good ending.
And then if you sit around through the credits.
Oh yeah.
Because in the film there's a scene where Batman's communicating with the Riddler via
it's called
computer
Rattler.com, I think.
And his cursor is actually a little question mark in brackets. Right at the end, you get this little flashing cursor, and it just says goodbye. So,
but talking about the obviously the opening scene and ending scene, the difference between them is Bruce has such a huge character arc in just one movie. Like, from going, think about it, in the intro scene, the man on the floor is saying, "Please don't hurt me."
Yeah.
And then you go from that to the end where he's now Gotham's beacon of light,
As well with the police, there's the scene where Gordon asks him to come into the mayor's crime scene, doesn't he? And he gets stopped by the police officer. So, Gordon says, "Yeah, he's with me," and they call him a freak.
Yeah. And
then there's a scene later on towards the end of the film. Falcone's been exposed as the Rat, and the Batman's leading him out, basically, out of the nightclub. And Gordon's waiting for him. And there's an interchange, and Gordon says, "Yeah, not all Gotham police are corrupt." Opens the door, and there's all the police there.
Yeah.
And then there's finally an acceptance by the police as well.
Well, I think they can see what actually Bruce is doing for the city,
So it's a big character arc, in that way, So
and I know we're all different, but that tends to be what I focus on is the characters.
Yeah.
And he just has he's just such a deep character. He's just well thought out, and that's just some of what I needed to mention. That he has such a big character arc. He's certainly not the same person. At the start and at the end. If we go into I suppose we'll go into the favourite scene later. The score.
Score's great because, like you say, it's got it's very dark, isn't it? It's very kind of moody. It's got Nirvana, for example. It's that would explain the whole score, really. Very different to other.
What about the main score, like the original score?
Yeah, I think that who did that?
Michael Giacchino.
Right. Yes, it's pretty good, I think. Again, it fits with
it does.
the dark character of the film.
It's not epic like like The Dark Knight, or
like Danny
Batman,
Elfman, which is quite upbeat and
it's not that. It just fits perfectly for the film.
Yeah.
Some people said that it was used too much, but fuck you. It was used. I think it was used very well, and just it adds to the movie rather than taking away from it. Right. Initial reaction straight after seeing the film. So when the credits rolled,
I was buzzing. It exceeded. I've got to say, it did exceed my expectations. Really. I think just the first opening few scenes, kind of allayed any fears that I had that it wasn't going to be good, and it didn't. It didn't lose momentum, I don't think, throughout the whole film. There was nothing in that film that wasn't needed, I don't think. And being 3 hours, a lot of people complain, it's 3 hours long, it's 3 hours long. It didn't seem 3 hours.
No. That was the main thing with me. But even I looked at the 3 hour runtime and I was like, oh shit. Because not that I can't sit through a 3 hour movie, because I can, but it's more the fact that how do you it's the thing, you got, like you said, for a 3 hour movie, you got to keep up that momentum.
I think it's also the time, because we saw it at midnight as well. Which I think sometimes that can have a factor. If you're tired, mate, sometimes you got to be in the mood to watch a film. Because
this thing, I was just so nervous about this film, and when it ended, I just sat back and like the amount of dopamine going through my fucking brain. To be fair, I sat back and I just had to take it all in, because I was like, this is amazing,
And I came home, and sort of next day we talked about it. I said, it's probably 4.5, I think. I thought, and then we went back and watched it again, and I've got to say, right, sometimes it's
are you going to rate it?
Well, no, I'm just going to, not at the moment, but I'm saying it's sometimes difficult to watch a film directly after, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just the same experience that I had, even better, I think.
Because you with a great movie, you can watch it again, and you can just point out different things, and it somewhat enhances the viewing experience.
I wasn't sat there being bored because I'd seen it before. I was still as buzzed as I was for the original viewing as well. So
right. This next one is there any potential flaws you saw with the movie?
I couldn't say. No, I could say I mean, the only thing that kind of did spoil it a little bit was John Turturro, really. But again, it doesn't really detract from the film.
No.
It's just a minor sort of little thing.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, there's nothing in that film that I can say. There's no flaws. There's nothing I can critique about it, really.
Couple of the favourite, the biggest ones people say is they've got a bit of a problem with Zoe Kravitz. I don't know why.
No.
I don't know if they mean that she just was a bit like she didn't have the charisma or something for Catwoman, but I don't agree with that at all. I think Zoe Kravitz was really good in this movie. A lot of people were saying about once again, I always hear this. People were saying about the 3-hour runtime, but I was like, this is the thing. I think there's the general moviegoers or whatnot, who can't be asked to sit through a 3-hour movie. If they knew it was this good, they would, 100%. But they wouldn't, and that's the type of pricks that you see.
Yeah, but it's like if a film needs 3 hours to tell a story, it needs 3 hours.
Yeah.
You can't. If you tried to do it in 2 hours, I don't think it would be the same film. Definitely wouldn't be.
The people that walked out halfway through wasted their money, so I don't care.
I mean, everybody, the general view, I think, is that each scene should move the story along, or it should give you some more insight into characters, and I think it does. I mean, there's nothing, like I say, there's nothing sort of bloated about this film. I think
in this case, the more the merrier, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they're the only real flaws people say about it. Like I said, I don't think there's any flaws to this movie at all.
Well, I'd say when we went to see it again, I was a little bit, but then it's like it was almost like seeing it over again.
Yeah.
And like I say, I enjoyed it more, I think, the second time.
I did as well, 100%.
Yeah.
So, and that just goes to show that it isn't a flawed movie at all. I think that's the only. This is the thing. It's you can see how critically acclaimed it is. It's really highly rated. The only people are saying it's flaws are Marvel fanboys. So, yeah, I don't want you watching our podcast anyway.
Right, that's half our listeners gone now.
Right, your favourite scene?
My favourite scene is the introduction of Batman.
Yeah.
At the start, it's got to be. It just is. Just brilliant way to introduce him.
I have.
There's maybe the car chase scene possibly as well, but I think the opening scene where we first see the Batman.
That is one of my favourite scenes. My favourite scene is probably the whole end sequence from when you first get the Gotham Square Garden all the way to the end. I think that whole segment is absolutely amazing. Before the actual scene itself, I'd either say the intro. I think the end monologue is brilliant as well. You got the scene, the red flare scene. Also,
the Arkham Asylum scene.
That's the scene I was about to say.
Yeah.
That's the scene I was about to say.
Change between Batman and
that could be my favourite scene because it just it is very I don't know how I'll describe it. I don't know if there's a word to actually describe it fully, but you see Paul Dano, obviously Riddler, and Rob Patterson, Batman on either side of this window pane, and these are for Paul Dano, obviously the Riddler. He feels that him and Batman are the same, but they couldn't be two totally different people, and it's shot in a way where obviously they're separated, aren't they? And they are just two totally different people, isn't it?
Separated by glass, aren't they? But that glass is not just a physical barrier, but it's also it's like a metaphor, isn't it? That the barrier between them in terms of their beliefs and things.
I just think it's an absolute amazing scene, amazing character. It heightens the story because it gives us story details, but it also heightens the characters as well. And obviously, like I said, some brilliant acting and really tense moments obviously during that. So I'd probably say the Arkham Arkham scene between them. Though I've got to give a little thing to that. I like the whole funeral scenes. I think they were amazing. How tense they were, you know.
Right, so basically every scene is your favourite.
Yeah, fucking the old films are favourite. Right, your overall take on the Batman. So I think if we rate it out of 5, I mean, every movie we do, if you want to rate it out of 5.
Well, I second time I saw it, I had to give it a 5 because I just it is a brilliant film. It's probably the best film I've seen recently.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would put it in terms of the whole, Batman films, because it is very different to the other ones.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into that.
Well, that's fine, because like you, first time watching it was a 4.5. Upon rewatch, I'd give it a 5. And I know there's some.
I would maybe rate it probably. I would say Dark Knight and then this. I think in terms of Batman films.
Yeah. That's not controversial, no.
No, would you agree, or would you say
like
this is better? I don't know.
I'd give this a 5. I'll give Dark Knight a 5. I'll give this a 5. I'd say The Dark Knight is a better film overall, but The Batman is a better Batman film.
Yeah. So good.
And all you Marvel meat riders out there, you know what I mean? Who there's people actually going on to this film on IMDb and whatnot on all the review sites.
And downvoting it just because they're Marvel. Yeah.
Well, hey, the box office speaks for itself. It's already on 450 million, I believe. So, take that. Batman is the best superhero out there, whether you like it or not. So, and he's got the best films, evidently.
Yeah.
And I think I'd agree. I'd put Dark Knight first. I'd put this second. And as in terms of, I know we went over it a bit earlier, but as in Batman, I'd put. Christian Bale's always going to be first, but I'll put him alongside Affleck in second. So
joint second with Affleck.
Yeah,
I can go with that. Yeah, I think that's a fair.
But
assessment.
like I said, if we see these other 2 movies in the trilogy, then
you're thinking it might be a trilogy. Maybe it might be more. I don't know.
Hey, more
than merrier. For a bit of Batman, aren't we? Yeah. So, any final thoughts?
If you haven't watched this movie, you're a fool. Watch it.
Yeah, I would urge anybody to watch it. So,
whether you like DC, whether you like Batman, this is the thing as well. But we forgot to mention it. Like the Dark Knight trilogy, it doesn't throw it in your face that it is a Batman superhero comic book movie. It is first and foremost like a neo-noir, tight, gritty, dirty thriller film that just happens to take place in Gotham.
Yeah.
So.
I was saying to you, what I'd maybe like to see is, like they did with Logan, is do a black and white version of it. Because I don't know whether that would add any kind of atmosphere to it.
When you said what I'd like to see, I thought you were about to say Batman naked, because I would have agreed. Wait, what? No, I think I could add an extra layer to it, but you know.
But no, all in all, I think that's definitely probably the best film of this year. I know we're not far into the year.
Oh, it's still gonna be the best film. So unless Flash,
well,
I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. That's something that's another.
I'll be on another podcast.
Okay, so all that's left for me to say is thank you for joining us. Like I said, it's not going to be a regular thing, but we hope to maybe do every so often a bonus episode, which we're going to be releasing on a Tuesday. Our normal podcast will go on, that we're going to release normally on a Friday. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And goodbye.
Bye.